All right, so let's dig into the Word of God. So tonight, Survivor Saturday. If you're here, you're either a survivor of something to celebrate, or you're in the midst of a storm, that you're looking for solutions, remedies, or maybe you're even getting ready to go into a storm and you didn't know about it. But I've discovered over the years that either we're in a storm, coming out of a storm, or getting ready to go into one. Can I get an amen? Amen. And for many of us, we've been taught or led to believe that every storm is an indicator that we are outside the will of God, or that we're just a bad person. Did you get that? Sometimes in church we've been made to feel that we're bad people because bad things happen in our life. And that is not necessarily the truth. But rather, when we are in a storm, more often than not, it's because we are in God's perfect will. So I came here tonight to encourage you that maybe your storm is an indicator that you're in God's perfect will. Isaiah 43:2 says this: when thou pass through the waters, I will be with thee, and through the rivers they shall not overflow thee. When thou walkest through the fire, thou shalt not be burned, neither shall the flames kindle upon thee. The primary and the most important word there is when. That's right. If you live life any length of time, you're going to endure some storms. The Bible says in 1 Peter 4:12 says, "Beloved, think it not strange concerning the fiery trial, which is to try you, as though some strange thing has happened unto you." I know many of us want to think that a storm in our life is because we're bad, or we messed up, or we're flawed, or we've got a bunch of issues. But rather, I want to encourage you tonight that the storm that you're enduring is because you're in God's perfect will. The message tonight, I want you to write it down. Say, I may be shipwrecked, but I am not sunken. I may be shipwrecked, but I'm not sunk. I like to turn in our Bibles to Acts chapter 27, verses 9 through 14 is our text tonight. We'll be coming from Acts 27 chapter, verses 9 through 14. And I'll begin reading now. And here we go with that word again, imperative, that word now. Before in Isaiah we had when. So when a fire comes, when a flood comes, right? It's going to come. It's inevitable. And here we got now. Now, when much time was spent, and when sailing was now dangerous, because the fast was now already past. Paul admonished them and said unto them, "Sirs, I perceive that this voyage will be with hurt and much damage, not only of the lading and ship, but also of our lives." Nevertheless, the centurion believed the master and the owner of the ship more than those things which are spoken by Paul. And because the haven was not commodious to winter in, the more part advised to depart thence also, if by any means they might attain to Phoenix, and there to winter, which is a haven of Crete, and lie up toward the southwest and northwest. And when the south wind blew softly, supposing that they had obtained their purpose, loosing thence, they sailed close by Crete. But not long after there arose against it a tempestuous wind called a Euroclydon. And I'll take you to verse 26. 26. Howbeit, we must be cast upon a certain island. In other words, Paul said, you're going to be shipwrecked on an island. In this text, I'll give you for a couple minutes background on what's going on in this text. We find one of the greatest pictures of what the nautical naval life was like 2,000 years ago. This is the Apostle Paul's fourth shipwreck. Not one, not two, three, 4 shipwrecks. Now this was a man of God. This was the man who planted churches, who penned 13 epistles in in the New Testament. And yet, he was now on his 4th shipwreck. And you thought you had problems. And we find here that Paul, he is dispelling the myth that our storms are a result of us being outside the will of God. Because Paul actually was in the perfect will of God, because he was on his way to Rome when this shipwreck went. But here's what he had been prayed, and I think in Acts 21 and 19 he had prayed and talked about and had this desire to go to Rome. He had a dream that he's supposed to be in Rome. And yet we find that Paul is going to get to Rome, but not necessarily the way he wants to get there.
Amen.
He wanted to get there as a captain of the ship, but he would have to go there as a prisoner of the ship. Many of us are trying to get somewhere, but we're trying to tell God how to do it. Many of us feel like God's supposed to do something in our life, but he's supposed to do it exactly the way we think. And the moment it does not happen the way we designed it, the way we have planned this thing out, orchestrated it, and we start thinking we're outside the will of God, God has lost his mind, God is no longer sovereign, and we start feeling like, woe is me, I am the victim. Why is this happening to little old me? See, we all going to have some storms in our life. We become shipwrecked from time to time. And here's the key. We must hold on to God's promises. We may be shipwrecked, but we are not sunken. But while we're in the midst of a storm, there's some keys that we can apply to help us survive the storm. See, here's the key. See, we need to recognize and acknowledge that we're going to have storms. But how do I survive the storm? See, every once in a while we're going to have something go on in our life, but we're going to know how to navigate the storms of life. Because we have bought this thing hook, line, and sinker, Christianity message that everything's supposed to be perfect. It's supposed to go the way we want it. Everything's supposed to be like Willy Wonka, I got the golden ticket. Just because you're saved and just because you're sanctified, Holy Ghost filled and fire baptized, it does not mean that life is always going to be perfect. Every day is not going to be a perfect day. You're not always going to have everything you want. You're not going to have all the money you always want. Your health is not necessarily always going to be the way you have thought it would be. But you need to recognize that even though you may be in a storm, God is still sovereign. So what do you do when you're in the midst of a storm? The first thing is, this is going to be about a 10-minute message from here, is your response. You cannot control the storm, but you can control your response. Paul, in the midst of his storm, recognized his responsibility was not to say, well, God, I have regret. See, we get to a place where we start thinking about and lamenting our regret on how we got there rather than our response. We got to get to a place where we're not focusing on our regret, but focus on our response. So our relationship goes bad. Your health goes bad. Your finances go bad. Instead of talking about and thinking about and reflecting over and over how you got there, spend more time on your response to how you get out of there rather than how you got there. See, Paul, he did not, see, Paul could have said, you know what? You all, you dirty dogs. You captain, I warned you and told you not to take off. We were safe right here. This winter storm, it is a bad time to sail to begin with. Don't go anywhere because you can lose everything to include everyone's life. Stay right here. But see, most of us as Christians, rather than focus on having a good response, we'll sit there and want to argue with someone and say, I told you so. And we want to focus on trying to direct the conversation on why I'm right and you are wrong. Paul may have did a little poke and said something, but ultimately he got it right where he started focusing on his response on what God wanted him to do in the midst of the storm. Second thing is Paul made a decision to encourage himself and everyone around him. See, faith can be contagious, but so can fear. Did you get that? Faith can be contagious, but so can your fear. You know, you can see someone's fear in their eyes. Man, I've been in environments where artillery shells are coming down and things going. You can see people who are willing to stand and say, you know what, I'm ready to go to fight, man. I'm good. And you can see the people who are buckling under the pressure. When the storm comes, learn how to encourage yourself by saying, you know what, I remember that God said, He never said I wouldn't have a storm, but He promised me I'd get to the other side of the storm. Because in verse 22 through 25, that's what He said, and now I exhort you to be of good cheer. For there should be no loss of any man's life among you, but of the ship. For there stood by me this night the angel of God, whose I am and whom I serve, saying, fear not. Say, fear not.
Fear not.
See, Paul, thou must be brought before Caesar, and lo, God hath given thee all them that sail with thee. Wherefore, sirs, be of good cheer. Not just cheer, good cheer. For I believe God that it shall be even as it was told me. And here's the thing. It doesn't say, I believe in God. See, when you just believe in God, you just believe in God for the results. But when you just believe God, you have a personal relationship with Him, and regardless if it goes the way you want it, you still believe Him as being sovereign. See, believing in God is that you're doing it for the benefits, rather than just Him being the lover of your soul. So we got to get to a place where I just believe God for who He is. I believe He's the King of Kings. I believe that He is the Lord of Lords. And I believe He sent His only begotten Son, Jesus Christ, to go to Calvary for little old me. I believe He is God, and I believe Him. Hallelujah. That even in the midst of my storm, that He's going to get me to the other side of this. And even if I go down to Davy Jones' locker, that I'm going to rise again like a phoenix. Because I know I have eternal life with Jesus Christ. See, no one likes to talk about that in church. Sometimes it isn't going to go the way you want. It's not the textbook answer. But you need to understand that God loves you so much that He sometimes even take us from this life to antiquity, to forever, to the next season. Because He knew if He left us here. That's believing God for who He is, rather than what He can do for me. I know people don't want to talk about that, but here's the reality, that storms sometimes are going to destroy some things. But what it should not destroy is your faith. Third thing is, don't abandon ship. Don't abandon your support system out of fear. Verse 31, that's what Paul said to the centurions and the soldiers, except ye abide in the ship, ye cannot be saved. See, what happens with believers when we're in the midst of storms, what happens is the moment is that I'm having a storm in my life. I'm not going to church tonight. I don't feel good. Things aren't working to my favor, so I'm church hurt, so I'm no longer going to go to another church. Well, you know, the moment that you walked into church, it became imperfect. You're taking your church hurt somewhere else, and you're going to hurt someone else too. But what we got to learn how to do is forgive one another and help one another, support one another, and recognize that we need one another. But what happens when we abandon ship, and what is that is our support system? You got people in your life who love you, who care for you. When you're in the midst of a storm, don't try to isolate yourself. When you isolate yourself, you're drowning yourself. That's true. Because what happens when you isolate yourself, you're drowning yourself by this, meaning that no one can hear your voice any longer. They don't know you're in distress. As a trick of the enemy to try to isolate you so you will drown in your own misery. Fourth one is, turn your worry into worship. Tell someone, turn your worry into worship. What you worried about? What you worried about? In verse 33 to 36, it's what Paul says, and while the day was coming on, Paul besought them all to take meat, saying, this day is the 14th day that ye have tarried and continued fasting, having taken nothing. Wherefore I pray you to take some meat. For this is for your health, for there shall be not an hair fall from the head of any of you. And when he had thus spoken, he took bread and he gave thanks to God in the presence of them all. And when he had broken it, he began to eat. Then were they all of good cheer, and they also took some meat. Paul took this opportunity. See, when you take your worry into worship, what you're saying is God is in control. This was 14 days they went. They had gone 14 days of being in the storm, 14 days of fasting. Man, we were on a boat last week, and we had like 8 to 10 foot waves. And I can understand why you wouldn't eat in the midst of a storm. But they went 14 days of fasting. Okay? And Paul recognized that at some point, if you allow yourself to stay in this place of worrying, it'll bring calamity upon everyone around there. But what we got to do is take that moment to shift from worrying to worship. And how do we do that? He just absolutely just stopped everything. It was still storming. Here's something the Lord was dealing with me. The waves were just as high at that moment as they were the day before. But they made a decision at that moment to break bread and to start worshiping. At some point in the midst of your storm, you have got to make a decision to start worshiping God. When you shift from worrying to worship, what you're doing is you're taking the attention off of you. And you're turning it towards Christ. When you shift from worrying to worship, what you move from is a place of being in your flesh to moving into the Spirit. And ultimately, that's what God wanted from you in the first place. A lot of our storms would end earlier if we learn how to turn our worship, our worrying into worship a lot sooner. God loves us so much, He'll allow us to stay in our octagon, our northeast, allow us to be in a hurricane, a tornado, allow us to be in some calamity in our life where we get to a place where we're like, I don't know why this keeps happening, I don't know why I'm here. And God's like, I'm trying to get your attention. I want you to start worshiping me. I want you to get your attention, your focus off little old me and on Him. He's like, man, I wish you could get this point. I'm trying to teach you that I love you and you're the center of my universe. Why don't you make me the center of your universe? Storms are designed to purge us of the things that are not like God. Because what happens salt water in the air and what happens on the ship, it starts cleaning everything else off. See, God is trying to clean us up in the midst of our storm. See, you can't sanctify yourself, but what you can do is try to get consecrated. We can't ultimately clean ourselves, but what we can do is put ourselves in position and in a posture where God can clean us up. And if we would do it voluntarily, what will happen is that God oftentimes will release the storm earlier rather than leaving us there. Why don't you tell someone I need to turn my worry into worship? What you worried about? Why you keep going back to Eddie? Why you keep going back to the same conversation? You leave church and you go right back on social media and talk about why me? Why you go back and go out to eat with someone? Yeah, why not me? Why is everyone else getting married? Why does everyone else got more money? Why does everyone else have better health? God's like, why you worried about you? Why you worried about Him? Instead of being consumed with self, the world and the enemy wants to allow your mind to become like the world. And his trick is to get you to make the world, make church and worship and everything revolving around you. The gospel is not about you. This Bible, Genesis to Revelation, has absolutely nothing to do other than this. It's everything about Christ saving you. It's not about how you get more stuff. It's not about how to have an easier life. It's not about well, God, why don't you do more for me? He's already done the most he can do for you when he saved you from the pit of sin, a pit of hell. He saved you from something you could not do yourself. The Bible is all about Jesus. From Genesis to Revelation, the beginning and the end, the Alpha and Omega, it's all about Jesus. And storms are designed to get you refocused, recalibrated, and cleaned up and start looking at him for who he is. And next is lighten your load. Tell your neighbor, lighten your load. See, we got to let go of anything that is burning us and weighing us down when we're trying to survive the storm. The last thing you need in the midst of a storm is something drowning you. And here's the thing, they say in swimming that the most dangerous person in the pool is a person that's drowning. Because when you go to help them, they try to pull you down in their panic, in their fear. In their fear. They'll try to drown you. And so what happens is when you're in a storm, the last thing you need is to be interacting with people who are drowning already. Because they're functioning in fear and not faith. Faith comes by hearing. And so as you continue to be around people always being negative, toxic, and in fear, what will happen is your spirit becomes fearful rather than faithful. But we got to learn how, because when you're in a storm, in order for you to survive and have buoyancy, you got to have people around you going to help keep you lifted, not pulled down. And then Paul in verse 38, he told them, and the captain, they made a decision to throw all the wheat, all the stuff off, anything unnecessary, off the boat so they could survive. See, you and I, we got some things that are unnecessary in our life. And we need to get rid of them. You see, one of the byproducts and blessings that a storm can give us is the gift of perspective. And the gift of clarity of what is really important. See, storm clouds have a strange way to give us a clearer picture of priorities. See, because I've been around situations where people lose everything. And they can have a $500,000 house. And stuff being burned down or it's being flooded out and cars consumed by fire and other things happening. And instead of running in, worried about grabbing valuables, they go in and run and getting pictures. Storms have a way of bringing clarity of what is really important. And a lot of times, things, we're no longer making God first. But seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. Many of us have allowed other things to become first rather than God. And so a lot of times he got to allow the storm to come. So we start grabbing the things that are important and letting go of the things that are not. Amen. And the last thing, hold on to broken pieces. Hold on to broken pieces. Verse 44 says right here, well, it's kind of interesting. I'll go to verse 43. It says, but the centurion, willing to save Paul, kept them from their purpose and commanded they could swim, should cast themselves first into the sea and get to the land. And the rest, some on boards and some on broken pieces of the ship. And so it came to pass that they escaped all safe to the land. A couple of interesting things that the Holy Ghost was showing me something, but I didn't really take in before was, it's interesting they told the people who could swim to swim. And the other people just to grab on the broken pieces. So what's that tell me is that a lot of times we are caught up in the midst of stuff in our life. God allows us to be thrown into a storm because he can trust us that we can swim. God trusts you with the storm you're in right now. God trusts you to go through what you've been through and what you're getting ready to go through. He will not allow you to go into a water that you could not survive and swim in. So hold on to broken pieces. So what are broken pieces? Broken pieces are the things that are left behind to help you get to the safety of the shoreline. But you and I, in order to hold on to broken pieces, you must be willing to look for broken pieces. See, if you're ever in the ocean, if you were out there and you were fluttering, trying to swim, and you would have to look for something that has buoyancy to grab a hold of. But a lot of times, we want something to come to us rather than us go to it. Many of us have gotten this grab it and tag it mentality with God while name it and claim it rather than what do I have to do and what God's called. So the text was showing me in the midst of our storms, many of our storms, God would give us the necessary things we need to survive the storm if we start looking and then humble ourselves and do what we got to do to hold on to broken pieces. But because we're looking for something that is shiny, we're looking for a speedboat. We're looking for a helicopter. We're looking for a submarine. We're looking for something that's shiny to come save us. And we want God to save us the way we want, in some dramatic way. And we're on CNN and Fox News, and we're on global net, and we have 1 million likes on Facebook or social media and Instagram because they save us a particular way. But don't you know God is trying to save you through a rustic piece of wood. A wooden plank is rustic. It's dry. It's been beaten. Just like you and I, many of us have been beaten. Many of us are dried out. Many of us have gone through some stuff. But guess what? God can use you as a broken piece to help someone else get to the shore. Your storm experience in the past has so much value. More than what you could ever imagine. You think it was just about you, but it was because God wants you to be that broken piece to help someone else. Get a piece of wood. You see, many of us, because we've been hoodwinked into this gospel where it's all about us. And the church in America has become so selfish and so self-centered, where the churches in America, if we pulled all our resources, all our people together, man, we can impact our whole community and turn our cities upside down like action. We can turn everything. There wouldn't be a homeless person. There wouldn't be a food. There would be so much food and resources and homes for the homeless and jobs for the jobless, and then there'd be hospital for the sick, and that we wouldn't need to trust government. We wouldn't need to depend on anyone else. If we learn to come together and we learn how to make a difference for one another and understand that God has value in everything we go through to help someone else. But the gospel is not always about us. But God allows us to go through the storms in our life so we can help someone else get to the shore. And we need to recognize that the storms that we go through will cause us to look like we got some wear and tear. But see, many of us have gone through something that has left us scars. But a scar is symbolic to let the world know you've been through something. And you can be trusted. And you've been marked because God has used you, allowed you to go through, and you have this mark and you can wear it with honor, that you can help someone else get to the safety and to the shore, because you can be a piece of wood. Your mark is letting the world know and other Christians know that you know what it's like to go through. This Survivor Saturday, I know you're saying, well, what's Survivor Saturday about? Survivor Saturday was all about someone coming here tonight. Yeah. You came here needing to tell someone about your survival story. And there's some others who are in need of some help right now. Yeah. There's some people in here tonight who understand what it's like to go through cancer. Where's Diane? Come on over here, Diane. She's a survivor. She's a survivor. She's a survivor. She's a survivor. Diane, how long have you been a survivor?
11 years. Diagnosis, it was in June of 2008, and it was August 1st, 2008 that I had my surgery, breast surgery. And along the way, you know, I learned a lot of lessons. I learned that I need to be patient. I learned that doctors have tests, and you may have to test and retest and test and retest. And it's not to lose hope. It's to know that, you know, you need to know, and early diagnosis is very important for cancer. So if you think something is going on, then you need to have the test done. And don't freak out when you have to test your own self for certain things. You know, sometimes you're the best advocate for your own body. I had, we were looking at a suspicious part on my body on the right breast, but it turns out that the left one had the cancer. The mammogram missed it, the ultrasound missed it, and I would get those like every 6 months. And so, but it was an oh, by the way point, and don't let doctors rush you. So I was at the doctor's office, when I lay back, I couldn't find it. It was when I sat up, but I didn't realize that till I was in the office, I could never find it. So here we got 2 doctors in white coats and then an intern, and sometimes you feel rushed. And so I took my time and I said, hold on, I need to find this. So it was me having to sit up to find it, because you come in and examine, you're laying back. I sat up and I found a nodule right close to the middle of my chest, closer to the left, and that was cancer. I was diagnosed at early stages, so it was stage 0 and stage 1. You want to know if you have cancer, so putting it off doesn't help. And so I encourage you that if you have anything you think's going on, go to the doctors. And also, it pays to be a friend to people so that they can be a friend to you, because you'll need a friend with you as you go through it. Amen. When I first heard the words, "you have cancer," I heard nothing else. I couldn't remember anything other than thinking in my head, he's not talking about me, because you know, you got faith. It's like, no, I don't have this. But you know, you can't be foolish, you know, about that faith. You still have to believe in the doctors. And they do practice medicine. So they'll have you doing this and doing that and tweaking this and that, but just be patient with them and do your research.
Now hold this, hold this. That's a good point. There's someone that has gone through, maybe they're dealing with, or they know someone's dealt with, but now she is a person that can be trusted. Yeah. She has buoyancy. Yeah. Yeah. She floats in storms because she knows what it's like to have to go through as a survivor through cancer. Yeah. And so tonight she's going to be right here because there's someone going to need help tonight. Yeah. But in order to get to the safety of the shore, you got to get on and hold on to a piece of the wooden plank. Jonathan Street, Deacon Street, Elder Street. Sickness. He understood what it was like to have sickness. He was strong as they come. How long ago that happened?
It was 3 years ago tonight. It happened October the 26th, 2016. And I'm going to tell you something. It gave me more faith, more confidence in God than anything in my life could ever give me. First thing, I listened to my pastor. In July that year, Pastor might have forgot this. On my birthday, I told Pastor, I said, I want to go to Israel. He looked at me and said, well, why don't you go then? I said, okay. When I told my wife, I said, we're going to Israel. Let me tell you what happened. She was trying to plan the trip, and she, the first date that she got for us to fly out there was October 25th. Ooh, wow. That wouldn't have been nice. That would have been a bad trip. Yeah. But I don't know what happened, but she got another date. She said, no, we're going in August. And I argued with my wife. I said, okay, baby, we're going in August. I'm glad I didn't argue with her. See what I mean? But I'm going to fast forward. A lot of y'all ain't heard all of this story. It's a long story. But anyway, that Monday, Pastor, we was going to move some furniture that Monday. I don't know what happened, but he said, no, we can't do it Monday. Let's do it Wednesday. October the 26th, 2016 was a Wednesday. It just so happened that when I had a heart attack, I was with my pastor. What you heard?
That's a storm.
I'm telling you right now, when you're in a storm, those men on that ship, thank God that Paul was there. It made a difference. See, angels, they talk to our ministers. You need to be obedient to those who have authority over you and submissive because they have rule over your soul. We don't get that all the time. But I'm telling you something. If I had moved that furniture on Monday, that Wednesday I'd have been by myself, maybe going down to Hampton and work on my house. I might have, you know how men, we have pride. We have a heart attack or something, we go in the bathroom and get a glass of water or something and bend over until it go away, amen? I'll tell the truth, I'm a man, I'm gonna tell you right now. A lot of men in here shaking their head. We don't get sick, we Superman, right? Wrong. I said, Pastor, I think I'm having a heart attack. I never had a heart attack before, but on my chest, I never had anything hurt so bad in my life. He said, well, we ain't gonna talk about this. We ain't calling the rest of the squad. He said, we're going to the hospital. And I'm gonna tell you how, I'm gonna get off, I'm gonna stop. And timing is so important. We were close to Johnson Willis, but maybe 10 minutes, 5 minutes away. We got there and they stabilized me. By the time I got the chip in hand, I got on the operating table so they could put a stent in me, I passed away. What better place to pass away than in the hospital with doctors all around you, amen? Oh my God, I'm telling you, this story is just awesome. But here's the bottom line though. This is what seals it all up. I had a heart attack on Wednesday. Saturday we have church, right? Just what happened that the night would be exactly 3 years from the Saturday that I came to this church right here. And Pastor told me to come up, and I'm still there with it. And you wonder why I raise my hand and why I give God praise? I'm telling you, you don't know what he's done for me. And I'm still up here. I didn't hold back one bit. I didn't plan about my heart. All I cared about was praising God. That's what I did, standing right here. And I won't whisper either. I told everybody here, see, y'all can do what y'all want, but I'm going to praise God tonight. I'm going to praise him tonight too. Hallelujah.
Survivor.
Come on, baby. Thank you, God.
Sickness survivor. Come on, give God praise. I'm not going to go through every one of you. But here is the truth. I'm going to get someone to stand here with one of those. Each one of those. But you're going to understand the logic here in a second. Pastor Rivera, I want you to grab, you and your wife, grab this one for domestic violence. Because he understood what it's like. His brother was killed with violence. It wasn't a domestic relationship, but it's violence nonetheless. He understood what it's like to get that phone call and understand the tragic nature, the hurt, and the going through, and he's still going through. But here's the truth. He may be in the midst of a storm, but it's a little closer to the shore today than it was a few years ago. And if you're going through something right now, you can comfort them and it can minister to you.
Thank you.
Pastor Sherry, I need you real quick. This woman taught me about financial hardship. I was the hardship one. And she's the one that knew how to do finances the right way. A lot of men, we got pride.
That's right.
And we get in the way of our own prosperity. But my wife taught me everything I know about finances. I couldn't get a Columbia record card 27 years ago. I was denied at Sears where they said guaranteed $500 credit card. That's it. I was denied. Guaranteed $500 credit card. It said guaranteed 100% approved. I was disapproved. But now when I walk into a place, I walk in, it's like platinum. Because she understood what it was like growing up in her environment. We grew up in impoverished environments. Yes, we had food, our families provided, but we grew up in some hard, difficult times financially. This woman of God knows what it's like to get through from being broke to being blessed. From having lack and less to having more than enough. I'm just gonna, I don't want to put anyone on the spot other than, look, Nick, come here. He don't come out like this. He understands what it's like to be depressed. Come on, come on, Angie. You come stand with your husband. See, he knows what it's like to be depressed, but he also knows how to come through. I'm just going to leave it at that. And they say, man, I ain't going to put his business out there, man. You have no idea what God can do. And it's all good. And it's all good. Tell us it's all good. And I ain't going to put no one out here unless you want to come stand with this. They're overcome. Hallelujah, hallelujah. That's it, right? I got one more. You know what it's like to go through a hard relationship. I mean, where it just busted your guts, like you're ready to give up on life, you were suicidal, man, and you thought it was the end of the world. You were like, man, there's no way, no how I'll make it another day. There's no way, no how, man. This thing is going to break me. I never thought I'd know what it would be like to have a healthy relationship. Never thought I'd have habits. Oh, glory to God. So Father Saturday is simply about learning how to get through the storm by holding on to broken pieces. The broken piece is not the wood. Audrey, come on here, Audrey. You make a difference in so many people's lives. Come on, come over here. Until you've been in someone else's shoes and gone through what they've gone through. Yeah, no, you can't judge anyone. That's our problem. We got this business of judging others and what we think we know about their story. Not realizing that their broken piece is the very thing I need to help me get to my safety. So tonight, if you're in need, you have an area that you just believe God can help you with. You feel broken in a particular area. You need help in a particular area. I want you to come up here running right now to one of these broken pieces. Don't let your pride get in the way. Don't allow it. Don't be stubborn. But move to that area that you know you need God to help you with. That you need to hold on to a broken piece. Hallelujah. 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 Really, that's about every area of our life. Hallelujah. Hey, hey, hey. Hallelujah. 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 Now, I need your spiritual mind right now. I'm dead serious. And there's a number of people, you're staying stuck right now. You're allowing your pride to get in the way of what God's trying to do in your life. Because you think you already got it going on, you got it mastered. But here's the truth. For me, I could probably go up to almost every one of them every time. Because I'm so thirsty, I know I need God in every area of my life every day. When people ask me, well, Pastor, how you do this? How you do this? Because I know I got to hold on to that broken piece. I got to hold on to Calvary for my life. And see, right now, we all have some broken pieces. Now we need someone who can help us. See, the wood is not going to help you. But the person who's holding the wood could be your point of contact and person to pray for you and help you in the days to come. Because we need someone who's been broken a little bit, where it has some wear and tear, who can say, you know what, when I was in that state, when I had cancer, or when I had this physical affliction, or when I had this financial hardship, this is what I did, and this is my advice for you. And this is what I would pray with you and be in agreement with you to help you get to the safety and to the shore. Amen. Hallelujah.
Thank you, God. Hallelujah. Thank you, God.
Now, I'm going to ask you this. Those who are up there with your team, with your broken piece, I'm asking you now to start doing some altar work right now. Start praying with that person that came up here. Start praying with those who are with you. Start praying with them and be in agreement that God will move on their behalf right now. Start praying for those people. feel my spirit. I really do. I'm not just throwing this out there. I'm not trying to go fishing. I'm not trying to prophesy. What I'm trying to communicate is that there's someone out there, you're struggling right now, and you're allowing the pride to keep you from looking for that particular broken piece. You're trying to swim, and you're drowning in your own stuff because you're allowing pride to get in the way of your help. By coming to the altar is a place where you're crucifying your flesh and yourself. Many of us have self-imposed issues and stuff going on in our life because we weren't willing to come to the altar and say, God, I surrender. I absolutely surrender this particular issue. I need your help. And I know there's one or two more people out there right now that you need to be running up here right now to that particular area and say, God, I need your help. I surrender. Maybe that person can't help you, but God, I need your help right now. I am stuck right now in the midst of what I'm in right now. You don't have to leave here the way you came. God will meet you right where you are. Hallelujah. He still heals. He still restores relationships. He still helps with our broken memories. He still delivers and sets free. But it's time that we surrender to God. Yes, we surrender to God. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Yeah. Come on. Let's go worship God right where we are. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Come on. The message in the second or third point, turning our worry into worship. Right now, I guarantee right now, there's a number, a vast majority here are worrying about something. Your mind is consumed with worry. You're consumed. You've been sitting here going to service thinking about how you're going to pay your bills. You're thinking about how you're going to deal with this particular issue on the job. You're thinking about a relationship issue. You're thinking about a sickness, an illness, a doctor's report. And you've been consumed the whole service thinking about your problem. And God's like, will you take your worry and turn it into worship tonight? Right where you are right now. If you want to take your worry and turn it into worship, you can start worshiping right where you are. Right where you are. And God will meet you right where you are. He's just asking you to turn your worry into worship and say, here am I, God. I can't do it on my own. I need you. I surrender. I surrender. I surrender. Hallelujah. I surrender. Any worshipers in the house? Anybody want to turn out worry into worship right now? That we're turning that worry into worship. Paul talked about four anchors he threw out. But there's one anchor you want to hold on to tonight. And his name is Jesus Christ.
Let's give him everything on tonight. Sing hallelujah. Surrender all. Sing all to thee, my